For many decades, archaeologists have deplored metal detecting on archaeological sites. Ofttimes associated with metal detecting relic hunters, metal detecting devices themselves are symbolic of the destruction of archaeological sites. However, more recently, archaeologists have recognized that these machines can be useful. In fact, with proper archaeological methodology and recordation, they can produce data that benefits scholars' understanding and reconstruction of the past. In November 2013, the Virginia Department of Historic Resources sponsored an Advanced Metal Detecting for the Archaeologist workshop. Archaeologists were instructed in the use of metal detectors during investigations of possible archaeological sites at Claremont Farm in Clark County.
Archaeologists and metal detecting hobbyists have sometimes been at odds for good reasons of the way some people collect sites irresponsibly.
When I first started metal detecting, it wasn't really accepted. It wasn't written into proposals. There were some archaeologists who didn't think metal detectors were important. It's stigma with relic hunters. People used to call it the devil's stick. But that's changing as more literature comes out, more projects are done, more sites are found using metal detectors.
I've been involved in metal detecting on archaeological sites since the 1980s, so for well over 30 years. And when we first did our first work, which was an American battlefield, we were chastised for using volunteer metal detectors because they were looters, which they were not, of course. They were good people that were helping us. And we created a rapport, and it took about 5 or 6 or 7 years before other archaeologists began to see the potential for that. And once that happened, it grew exponentially, and it continues to grow.
Because it is a technology that can advance archaeology. We're missing lots of historic resources out there, and simply because shovel testing by itself does not delineate properly the historic context of the site.
What we found is that in Virginia, doing shovel tests is an important part of an archaeological survey, but we weren't finding any Civil War sites. We have documented evidence where we've done hundreds of shovel tests systematically across the site and come back and metal detected and found thousands of Civil War artifacts. But in the shovel testing, we haven't found anything.
With metal detecting, we can isolate particular areas of high concentrations of artifacts and therefore high activity areas. And it's something that we're not going to find using our traditional methods that we've tried to carry out on these things in the past.
The biggest advantage in using metal detectors is that it's a relatively non-intrusive technique. It allows us to cover large areas of ground, particularly on historic sites where metals are going to be present, very quickly to determine site boundaries, and they can be used to plan excavations for later. It's a rapid survey tool, and many historic sites, most of the metal is buried, and you don't see it on the ground, so this is a way to find out what is out there.
The Department of Historic Resources actually owns this property, and one of the portions of the agreement with the foundation that's managing it was to write an archaeological management plan. And part of that plan called for doing metal detecting around the house itself, and without any digging, but just doing the metal detecting to isolate prime locations. And we saw this as a great opportunity to do that. Along with that was obviously the opportunity to educate archaeologists within the Commonwealth about the importance of the use of metal detecting within an appropriate cultural resource management program.
It was delightful for me to realize that there is a facet of archaeologists now that are embracing the metal detecting activity and recognize its benefits under certain circumstances and are willing to work with those of us that have been on the hobby side. I think it's great, and it's very encouraging to me.
The hobbyist community are so advanced in their technical use of the metal detector and they have a serious interest in the history, that if we can actually bring the two communities together, we have something to learn from them and we have a lot to teach them.
We're both going to understand how the other thinks and works, understands about the past, and it's, you know, it is our shared history, so we need to be a little bit more open all the way around.